Right then, Manchester United are once again in the market for a defensive midfielder. And it looks all but guaranteed that Casemiro is going to be on his way out of the club. And at the very least, he's not able to do that number 6 role. Possibly as an 8 if we did have a number 6 in behind, but I can't see Casemiro being that linchpin between United's attack and defence. And no doubt we want to replace him. Now, reports are suggesting that the pursuit of Manuel Ugarte is over, or at least paused, and we can't really dwell on it. It's time to pick out some new potential candidates for that role, because it's an absolutely essential purchase for Manchester United. Now, in an ideal world, we bring in a young defensive midfielder that has got all the ability to lock that position down for many, many years to come. Obviously, that's a lot to ask for, but there are options out there that United could potentially bring in as a number 6. So today I'm going to have a look at what those options could be, put together some of the pros and cons for each, and then let you guys decide which of these you think would be a viable alternative to Ugarte if we didn't manage to bring him in. Now, number 1, I think, is probably going to be a little bit of a surprise for a lot of people. And the reason that is a little bit of a surprise is because he's had a bit of a pasting from Manchester United fans, and it's not nothing he did. There was a journalist compared him to Kobe Mainoo and suggested that he should be playing over Kobe Mainoo at the Euros just gone, and it was ludicrous to suggest Mainoo deserved any minutes for England. And that's Adam Warton. Now, I actually think Adam Warton's a very good player. I just don't think he could do what Kobe Mainoo could do. And that's potentially why he would be a good buy for Manchester United, because he can do things that Kobe Mainoo can't do in a different position, albeit in midfield. Now, at 20 years of age, he's already Crystal Palace's go-to man in midfield. He's had an incredible season, which has launched him right into the England setup. He's always had a bit of an extra work to do to sort of catch the eye when you do that sort of stuff at a smaller club, which he's done. And he is talented. He's got potential as well. And I think he could combine and link up with Kobe Mainoo and form a midfield that potentially anchors United and even England for over a decade. Now, the potential downside is that he's a lot more in the Mainoo archetype than Casemiro or Ugarte is. He can do that 6, but he feels like he wants to be an 8. It feels like he wants to push that little bit. Now, that doesn't necessarily chalk him off the list, but it's something that you have to be aware of. It's a similar thing with Rabiot. Could I see Rabiot sitting and holding? Yeah. Is that his go-to energy? Nah. So if you want someone to control a game, if you want someone that can do a little bit of the defensive dirty work, Warton's got ball control, he's got a range of passing, and he can escape tight areas because he's quite press resistant. I think he's an interesting option for the role, albeit not quite that out-and-out sort of number 6 DM that I think we're looking for. But he's a Premier League option. Now, I've put Sander Berg on the list. Now, for me, he's on the list because he's a very likely signing that we might make this summer. And he's not the youngest on the list either. He's not got that much potential to fulfill at 26. He should be at the peak of his game. Now, what he does have is experience. And he's got experience in the Premier League. And he's been heavily reported as, the one on the list, and the contact that United have made, seemingly, it's quite a straightforward one to make. He knows English football. And he's done all right, I think it would be fair to say, while playing for relegation-threatened side. He is a ball-winning player, and he is excellent at that in a similar way to, like I said, on a recent video where I was talking about him and McTominay aren't too dissimilar. His ball playing is better than Scott McTominay, but it's fractionally better than Scott McTominay. And I think a lot of it probably comes from playing deep. That being said, McTominay won't ever really pass the ball forward. He is an intelligent footballer, and I think a lot of that IQ has taken him far in the game. I just don't know if he's ready for the next step. He's a bit of an all-rounder. He's technically pretty good. He does have some decent physical attributes that would fill in a gap in the squad. I just don't think he's that A-team player that's really going to drive United to the next level. His stats show a player that's ranked pretty highly in a number of metrics. His dribbles aren't bad. His pressured pass accuracy is pretty good. He does offer a control and a calmness that I know Ten Hag is looking for, but it just feels like when we've been linked with some of the players, Berg just feels under that sort of level for me. Third up is Andre. Now, Andre, I think we've done a scout report on him. And if not, we'll do a scout report on him because he's quickly becoming a must-sign for one of European elite clubs. He's already made a splash on the international scene, and it's not just for any nation, it is for Brazil. Admittedly, not a vintage Brazil side, but he is getting those caps for Brazil. And he is the epitome of a modern-day defensive midfielder. Robust, aggressive, energetic, and dominant. Once again, a little on the small side, 5'9", but very much in that sort of Kante mould as a defensive midfielder that just rampages across the pitch, covering every single blade of grass. He covers more ground than he has any right to cover. He's very dynamic, and mobility is an absolute joke for him. And I think that makes him the perfect replacement for what we never really had in Fred, because the quality of him on the ball is an absolute leap above what you would have got with Fred. Now, those qualities combined with the legs that you're going to get with Andre would combine perfectly with just give the ball to Kobbie Mainoo. Now, he's valued at around about £25 million, which I think is an absolutely fair price when you look at the absolute influx of talent that's coming from South America and succeeding. Yet again, it's another risk, but it's one that United should absolutely be considering. Is the lack of height a bit of a problem? Is the undeniable quality something that you want? Would he translate to the Premier League in a positive way? We would have to see. And finally, Youssef Fana, Monaco. Now, again, another player that's probably more of an 8 than a 6, but he's on a lot of shortlists around Europe and could be heading towards Milan. Now, he is a midfield powerhouse. It's rare that he loses a duel. He is solid. He's got a box-to-box engine on him. Across Europe's top 5 leagues, he is ranked in the top 10 percentile for central midfielders in the following. Passes into the final third, progressive passes, ball recoveries, and through balls. He is a complete midfielder, and he fits into this system, I think, like a glove, even if he's not quite the more dedicated number 6 that you probably would want to get. And I think he's one of the better alternatives to Ugarte in terms of skill set, as well as his stature within the game. Now, reportedly, Monaco want €35 million for him because he's entering the final year of his contract. Milan is said to be leading the race, but there's no reason why United shouldn't be looking at that, because that is a very good value for a very good player. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on which of those you think you'll see at Manchester United and which of those you would like to see at Manchester United, and I'll catch you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.